Truma, makers of the Combi Heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Caravan TV.
Welcome to Practical Caravan TV, your one-stop shop for all things caravanning. Now we've got a bit of a stateside theme this week because I've been across the Atlantic to visit the Louisville show in Kentucky. But first, something slightly closer to home, the Bailey Pegasus Genoa. Now, viewers of Practical Caravan TV are always complaining at me that we focus too much on fixed bed vans. So how about this? It's the Bailey Pegasus Genoa, and it's a super traditional layout with a large front parallel lounge and a full width end washroom. Perfect. The fourth generation Pegasus was introduced for 2016, and it brought with it a massive improvement in looks. The old Alutech design has been carried over, however it's got crisp polar white sidewalls and these rather funky new blue graphics. They look really great. It's a hell of a difference over the outgoing model. Unfortunately, there were a few things that left in the process from GT65 to Pegasus 4, and they include a gas barbecue point, which is no longer there, and ATC trailer stability control. You do, however, get an AKS hitch stabiliser, an external 230 volt socket, and a really usefully large external locker, which has got a plastic liner inside, so it's ideal for putting muddy boots and coats. Of course, this is a Bailey, so there's no front gas locker. Instead, you'll find it here on the near side, in fact on your awning side, but everything else is relegated over to the off side, apart from the toilet cassette hatch. Because this is an Alutech van, it can be mounted in the rear wall, which is a unique Bailey feature. Like the rest of the Pegasus range, and indeed its flagship unicorn sibling, the Genoa features this fantastic full-height front window. It really is one of the best features of these Bailey vans, and it brings in masses of light. Added to the pale upholstery, which comes as standard with these rather attractive leaf pattern cushions and curtains, and it really does keep things lovely and bright in here. I must say I prefer this standard upholstery to the option trim, which is rather darker and really does dull down some of that brightness. It's a really spacious lounge area. In the Genoa, you don't feel the fact that this van is narrower than a unicorn as much as you do in some of the other Pegasus models. And these sofas are simply massive. You could sit perhaps up to 8 people around the table in here. Fantastic. If you don't need to get the freestanding table, well, there's a useful pull-out coffee table underneath this large front shelf. And there's masses of storage too. There are huge overhead lockers and large bed boxes beneath each sofa, although unfortunately the only way to access them is to lift up the sofa bases themselves because there are no drop-down flaps. At night, well, they make really good sized beds, over 6 foot each if you want to use them as singles, or if you want to use them as a double, well, there's the fantastic Dream Sleep system, which is a genuine innovation and makes it much easier to make up a large double bed. During the day, these sofas are phenomenally comfortable. These high seat backs really do give a proper domestic feel to the lounge area. And when you want to watch TV, instead of having to compromise with the telly on the front shelf, there's this neat little sideboard here with all the relevant TV points. It's the perfect place to put it, so you can sit back with those scatter cushions against the front of the van and watch your favourite show. All of the kitchen equipment is packed in here on the offside. We've got a top spec separate oven and grill with the obligatory dual fuel hob with an electric hot plate, and it's been mounted sensibly just a few centimetres away from the bulkhead here, which means there's room for your panhandles and also room underneath for a small wine locker. There's a good sized stainless steel sink, and you'll even find the controller for the Truma Combi heating here, which is ideal. It means it can be controlled from either the lounge or indeed the kitchen. Underneath the sink, there's a proper domestic sized drawer, which is always good to see instead of those tiny pokey little drawers. It means there's loads of room for cutlery and indeed utensils in there. Moving back, we've got a tower slimline fridge freezer, which is a very nice feature indeed, and mounted above it is the microwave. It's at a sensible height and not over anything dangerous. Always good to see. So what are we lacking? Well, we're lacking worktop, aren't we? There is a pop-up flap at the front there, but that doesn't provide a vast amount of space. So what do? Well, of course, we go over to the near side here, where there's simply masses. Because you've moved your TV onto that little sideboard at the front, this whole area can be used for food prep. Heck, you could even tuck your cookbook open at the right page into this magazine rack. Underneath, there's a good sized cupboard, and indeed there is masses of storage back here. We've got 3 overhead lockers on the near side, 2 more on the off side, and this neat storage place above the microwave. There's a pan locker underneath the cooker and a cupboard underneath the sink, and right back here in the corner, another tiny little cupboard, which is where you'll find the freestanding table for the lounge. Despite taking up the whole of the rear of the van, the washroom doesn't feel particularly spacious. That's because the offside corner is taken up by a large wardrobe and storage unit with shelving. There should be plenty of space for a couple to go away for a lengthy tour. Directly in front, there's a vanity unit with a low set mirror and a clear window, which we'd rather see smoked. But there's no complaints about the shower cubicle, which is huge, fully lined, with a shelf and a roof vent. For many, the biggest barrier to buying a Pegasus is the fact that the larger and much better specified Unicorn doesn't cost a whole lot more. But with the Genoa, it weighs 1,265 kilos, which is 100 kilos lighter than a Unicorn Seville. And at less than 18 grand, it's also well over £3,000 cheaper. Throw in the fact that it feels spacious, comfortable, and decently kitted out inside, and it really does make a very compelling case for itself.
The F-Pace may be Jaguar's first ever SUV, but it's clearly a car many buyers have been waiting for. It's become the fastest selling model in Jaguar's history. So, should caravanners take their place in that queue? It certainly has the heft and the power to make a serious tow car. The 3-litre diesel S we're driving weighs just shy of 1,900 kilos, with an engine putting out 296 bhp and 516 pounds-feet of torque. There are also 2-litre diesels and a 3-litre supercharged petrol. We've matched the Jaguar to a Swift Conqueror 645 with an unladen weight of 1615 kilograms, an 86% match for the Jaguar. The engine's effortless muscle is what first grabs you when towing with the F-Pace. There's so much mid-range pulling power that there's rarely any need to rev the engine hard. In fact, some cars would struggle to keep up with the F-Pace's acceleration without a Caravan in tow. That kind of speed wouldn't count for much if the F-Pace wasn't a stable tow car, but it takes towing in its stride, even when pushed hard through emergency manoeuvres like our lane change test. The F-Pace changed direction quickly, with plentiful grip, and even when the Caravan started to move around behind it, the Jaguar stayed on course. At speed, the Jaguar is unflustered and in control. Towing at 60 miles per hour doesn't feel very quick at all in the Jag, although a little less road noise would make long journeys more peaceful. Road noise aside, the cabin is a very pleasant place to spend your time. The dashboard design is sporty and attractive, although the Jaguar's quality of finish doesn't quite match that of a Mercedes-Benz GLC, and if we're being picky, the touchscreen infotainment system looks dated. On the plus side, there's lots of space inside. The F-Pace is strictly a 5-seater, Jaguar Land Rover has the Discovery Sport for customers wanting 7 seats. But without the need to shoehorn in a third row, Jaguar has been able to provide lots of rear legroom. Even tall adults should be happy, although the stout transmission tunnel gets in the way if travelling with 3 sat in the back. Luggage room is another strength. In fact, there's enough boot space for the F-Pace to make a viable alternative to an upmarket estate car. The 650-litre capacity increases to 1,740 litres with the seats folded. For most buyers, the less expensive 2-litre diesel models will make more sense, but for those with deep enough pockets, the 3-litre diesel F-Pace is a superb car. It's exciting to drive, practical, and it makes an extremely stable and quick tow car.
And with that we come to the end of part 1, but don't go away because we'll be back in just a few minutes with plenty more.
Truma, makers of the combi heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Caravan TV.